Welcome to our International Student Brief Show, where today's news is packed with international intrigue and cultural surprises. First up, President Donald Trump has stepped in to reassure international students, especially Chinese students, that they're still welcome in the U.S. despite recent visa restrictions. While the U.S. announced plans to scrutinize Chinese students linked to the Chinese Communist Party or studying critical fields, Trump emphasized a desire for great students and tried to calm the storm. The move has caused quite a stir among Chinese students and officials, who see it as an educational witch hunt, but some U.S. lawmakers argue it's about national security. Next, we see that the U.S. is tightening visa restrictions on Chinese students again, echoing policies from Trump's first term. China's response has been cautious but firm, calling the move discriminatory and protesting diplomatically. With over 277,000 Chinese students in the U.S., Beijing worries these restrictions could harm educational exchanges and escalate tensions between the two giants. Experts suggest this could lead to more mistrust and even a new wave of rivalry, reminiscent of the Thucydides trap, as both sides grapple with their geopolitical dance. Finally, in a different kind of story, Netflix's new Argentine series, The Eternaut, is taking the world by storm. Set in Buenos Aires, this dystopian drama about survival and resilience has sparked national pride and social activism. It's also shining a spotlight on Argentina's history, especially the tragic fate of its creator Hector Esterheld during the dictatorship. The show has become more than entertainment, it's inspiring protests, social reflection, and a renewed push for justice. Truly, storytelling has the power to connect past and present in powerful ways. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed stories. The South China Morning Post reports that President Donald Trump's recent comments attempting to reassure international students in the U.S. have only added to the ongoing confusion surrounding his administration's stance on Chinese students amidst a tense diplomatic climate. Following Secretary of State Marco Rubio's announcement that the U.S. would aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students with ties to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields, there has been widespread uncertainty about the scope and implementation of these policies. Beijing responded with formal protests, condemning the move as politically motivated and discriminatory, while Chinese students and their families face an uncertain academic future. Trump's more conciliatory tone, emphasizing a desire for great students, contrasts sharply with the aggressive rhetoric from U.S. officials, fueling accusations from Chinese media that the U.S. is conducting an educational witch hunt driven by anti-China ideology. Critics in the U.S. have expressed concern that the crackdown targets Chinese students broadly, with some warning it could severely damage educational and cultural exchanges, and even be a continuation of Cold War-era policies aimed at China's political influence. The South China Morning Post also highlights the diplomatic echoes of Trump's first term, where visa restrictions on Chinese nationals, especially those associated with the Communist Party, led to accusations of regime change and political suppression from Beijing. While the U.S.'s current move appears to be a continuation of these earlier policies, China's response has been notably more restrained, focusing on diplomatic protests rather than retaliatory measures. Experts suggest that China's measured approach is driven by its focus on critical trade negotiations and a belief that escalating visa restrictions could backfire, damaging U.S.-China relations further. The ongoing tensions are underscored by the fact that China remains the second-largest source of international students in the U.S., with over 277,000 enrolled, many in STEM fields. While U.S. officials justify the visa crackdown as a matter of national security and protection of research, critics see it as xenophobic and a threat to the U.S.'s educational reputation. The situation reflects a broader escalation in the U.S.-China rivalry, where political and ideological disputes threaten to undermine decades of educational and cultural exchanges, with both sides wary of the long-term consequences. The South China Morning Post details how the Chinese embassy in Washington formally protested Rubio's visa revocation plans, condemning them as politically motivated and discriminatory. While diplomatic démarches are routine, the public delivery of this protest signifies heightened tensions. Critics within the U.S., including Democrats and civil society groups, have condemned the move as xenophobic, arguing it undermines America's higher education system and its global reputation. Congressional reactions are divided, with some Republicans supporting Rubio's stance, claiming that Chinese students pose a national security threat due to potential espionage and influence operations. Conversely, many Democrats and Asian American advocacy groups see the policy as unjust and harmful to U.S. interests, comparing it to historical discriminatory laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act. The debate underscores a growing divide over how to balance national security concerns with the economic and cultural benefits of international students. As both nations navigate this complex landscape, experts warn that aggressive visa policies could deepen hostility, fueling anti-American sentiment in China and anti-Chinese sentiment in the U.S., pushing relations closer to the brink of conflict, reminiscent of the Thucydides trap. South China Morning Post reports that Beijing has strongly condemned the United States' recent decision to implement a politicized and discriminatory visa ban targeting Chinese students. The U.S. State Department announced measures including a halt on new visa interviews for international students and the revocation of visas for Chinese nationals, particularly those linked to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. China responded sharply, asserting that these actions undermine Chinese students' rights, damage bilateral trust, and tarnish America's image globally. The move is expected to push Chinese students to seek education opportunities elsewhere, such as in Britain, Canada, and Singapore, while prompting China to accelerate the development of its own higher education system. Experts warn that this policy could hinder scientific collaboration, cultural exchanges, and mutual understanding, further escalating diplomatic tensions and contributing to a shift away from the previous era of engagement between the two superpowers. The South China Morning Post also highlights a strategic warning from China's top party journal, which urges Beijing to prepare for worsening external pressures amid ongoing U.S. trade and technology restrictions. The journal emphasizes that resolving trade disputes with the U.S. will not happen overnight and calls for China to bolster its technological innovation, stabilize domestic employment, and secure essential supplies amidst a challenging external environment. It underscores the importance of risk assessment and proactive countermeasures, echoing President Xi Jinping's message of preparing for the worst while striving for the best. With U.S. restrictions on Chinese semiconductor companies and aggressive visa policies for students, China is advised to strengthen its core industries and scientific research to sustain economic growth. The article warns that escalating U.S. sanctions could deepen economic uncertainties, requiring China to adopt resilient strategies to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape. In response to the U.S.'s tightening grip on international education, South China Morning Post discusses Hong Kong's potential role as a resilient hub for higher education amidst geopolitical disruptions. While some Hong Kong universities have offered immediate support to Harvard students affected by the U.S. ban, the article suggests that establishing Asian campuses of prestigious Western universities could provide students with continuity and exposure to China's development. Examples like Duke University's partnership with the National University of Singapore and NYU's campuses in Shanghai and Abu Dhabi serve as models for regional expansion. Hong Kong's existing collaborations, such as the Shenzhen campus of CUHK and the Guangzhou campus of HKUST, demonstrate its capacity to regionalize and internationalize higher education. The article advocates for further development of overseas campuses and partnerships with elite institutions, which could safeguard academic mobility, diversify educational offerings, and reinforce Hong Kong's status as a premier international education hub in an increasingly volatile global environment. The Sydney Morning Herald vividly portrays Australia's misguided policies towards international students, emphasizing how political figures, driven by short-sighted concerns over housing shortages and immigration, have enacted measures such as caps and hefty visa fees that threaten to cripple the country's vital education sector. The article passionately advocates for a more nuanced approach, highlighting Melbourne's success in hosting over 250,000 international students who bring economic vitality, cultural diversity, and global prestige. It underscores that international students not only bolster the local economy by creating jobs and supporting university research but also enhance diplomatic ties and Australia's soft power. The piece calls for policymakers to abandon arbitrary restrictions and instead tailor strategies to regional needs, emphasizing that international education remains a proud and indispensable part of Australia's identity. Nikkei Asia reports Japan's strategic move to develop and promote a domestically produced fiber optic network operating system as an alternative to Chinese-made Huawei equipment. Japan's government plans to conduct international trials across Asia, Europe, the Americas, and Africa, aiming to provide countries with a less dependency on Chinese technology that is often criticized for security risks and vendor lock-in. By fostering local innovation and offering affordable, compatible solutions, Japan hopes to empower nations to diversify their telecom infrastructure and reduce reliance on Huawei's dominant market share, which stood at around 30% in 2023. This effort also reflects Japan's broader goal of reclaiming leadership in optical networking technology, learning from past delays in commercialization, and strengthening global partnerships through collaborative development and testing. The South China Morning Post details China's escalating efforts to combat espionage by warning its citizens about the subtle tactics employed by foreign spies. The Chinese government's top spy agency, the Ministry of State Security, cautions the public to be vigilant against individuals who may appear innocuous, tourists, scholars, lovers, or businesspeople, yet secretly gather intelligence. The Post warns that foreign agents often disguise themselves as researchers, friendly visitors, or romantic partners to infiltrate institutions and extract sensitive information, especially targeting universities and research centers. It emphasizes the importance of caution in personal and professional interactions, urging people to report suspicious activities and avoid sharing classified details. This heightened alert reflects China's intensified focus on counterespionage, expanding legal powers and public awareness campaigns to safeguard national security amidst complex international tensions. The Independent reports on a new dystopian drama from Argentina, The Eternaut, which has captivated Netflix audiences worldwide, swiftly claiming the top spot among non-English language shows. This 6-episode, Spanish-language series, rooted in a 1957 graphic novel by Hector German Esterheld, explores themes of survival amid a deadly snowfall and alien invasion, set against the backdrop of Buenos Aires. The series, filmed in Spanish with Argentine actors, revisits Argentina's history, weaving in the Falklands War and its lingering wounds, and emphasizes resilience and ingenuity, embodying the Argentine saying, "held together with wire." It has reignited national pride and historical consciousness, especially as it resonates with current political tensions under President Javier Milei's far-right government, turning the series' motto, "No one gets through it alone," into a rallying cry during protests. The show's success has also sparked a cultural revival, with publishers reissuing Esterheld's original comic in English, and has prompted renewed efforts by the grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo to locate missing grandchildren, linking Argentina's past tragedies with its present struggles. Meanwhile, Netflix has committed to a second season, investing millions and involving thousands of workers in Argentina, highlighting the series' significance both artistically and socially. The story's deep roots in Argentine history, its reflection of societal resilience, and its role as a modern myth have made The Eternaut a powerful symbol of national identity and collective memory, transcending mere entertainment to become a poignant commentary on survival, loss, and hope. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Lights dim, voices loud, headlines flashing wild. World in a frame and now, stories told, it's time to vow. Eyes glued, truth pursued, understanding woven through. Heartbeats race breaking through, knowledge spreads the new view. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, live and clear we convey. Shadows lift, facts unfold, moments chasing, stories told. Heroes, villains, tales of old. In this hour, truth is gold. Depths revealed, voices bright, new Truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, living clear we convey. Every story, every play, and clear we convey. Depths revealed, voices bright, news in focus, black and white. Every angle sheds some light, morning, evening, through the night.